All right, welcome back to another episode of EventHubs Talk and Block. I am John Catalyst Green. With me, as always, is John Velociraptor Guerrero.
Wow, a lot of Street Fighter 6 information all at once. We've got characters, we've got new information on World Tour Mode, we've got release dates, we've got editions of the game that are coming out. But the most important thing, and I think what we should start with, is that ugly ass cover art. It's okay. Listen, we're hype. We're definitely hyped because almost everything we just saw from the Game Awards was great and encouraging, at least I think, from my point of view. But that cover art, oh my gosh. John, give me your hot take on that beautiful Luke face.
Oh boy, this is the worst cover art I've seen in a long time. I really hope it's changed. Not only is it Luke, who is not well liked in their community, but it's him with a really weird expression on his face. It's like, okay, they're like, we're gonna take a character people don't like, and then we're gonna make him ugly as sin, and it's like, this needs to be replaced. And this is disappointing to me because of how good Capcom's artists are. They usually do exceptional work, and what the heck happened here?
He looks like he's in mid getting punched in the face if you slowed it down, and it's just
Yeah, get Ryu and Chun-Li on the cover. They need to be on the cover. It's fine if Luke is in there. We understand he's a new protagonist, but this is Street Fighter. Ryu and Chun-Li have to be on there. Get them on the cover. Do this right. Oh my gosh, what happened? But let's talk about the good stuff, John. Let's actually talk about
everything
stuff that
else
looks good.
I think is good from here on out. But we just had to get that out of the way really quickly, and
man.
we would love to hear it from you guys. What do you think about that Luke face representing our new game to all of the public? Okay, what are some of the
and
good
then,
things
thumbs
that
up if you want to see the cover changed. So we'll do it that way. So, but DJ and his stage, they look really good. Very vibrant, very fun colors. He also has a move that makes really colorful musical notes appear on the screen, which is really cool as he's doing his combo. That looks awesome. It backs up his musical background. But the problem I have here with DJ is that his core moves are all coming back. And this is a character who's historically low tier. So, yeah, I'm like, wait a second now he looks really good, but how are they going to change up his moves to actually make him, I don't know, viable, like an actual, character in Street Fighter? Like, what are they going to do? But yeah.
Well, they gave him a new move called Just Cool. No T in there, Just Cool. And it's a retreating sway that can lead into kicking attacks or forward-moving maneuvers that will test his opponent's tempo. So there's something, but does that resonate to you as a high-tier kind of move?
No, no.
It sounds like you're committed to retreating, and like Jamie has a move like that when he's in like level 3 or 4, and he has to move backwards and then eventually move forwards, and it's like, well, I'm sure, but that also feels predictable, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the meta is truly going to be in this game, and maybe, what we talked about before with the parry into Drive Rush, like DJ is a god at it, and, he only takes like a 1/4 of a meter to do it for some reason because he's playing music or some, weird stuff that Capcom put in there to make DJ awesome. But again, I'm really hesitant to call him. He looks fantastic, and he seems like he has a really good role here in the, the game to do. Everything about him, I'm really hype about. I'm like, man, they brought back his exact same moveset. Like, oh boy, like that's
I thought he was pretty good in one of the Street Fighter 2 games.
Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There are rumors on the internet of DJ being mid-tier. And he might be mid-tier. Yeah, he might be mid-tier, but you know what? The tournament results for him are pretty balls. Like there's a handful of people who play him at a really high level, and I know Afro Legends is like but he switched to Balrog a lot and other stuff. So, I mean, it's he's not like the worst character around, but like just his presence in tournament has been abysmal every time he's been in these games, and it's like, okay, like, man, like, it's ballsy to bring back. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. So
I think he looks, and the jury's completely out for how he's going to perform actually in the game. But as far as what they've done with this character to make him intriguing, they completely capture, I think, what they always wanted to have with DJ, which was like this kind of focal, party-throwing, musical guy who is the center of attention and just good vibes all day. That's one of the things that they wanted to achieve with the character. I think that this is a really good look for DJ thus far.
Yeah, voice actor is really good too. That's a really important aspect of this character to nail. And if you got the wrong voice actor, that would be very bad, I will just say. And the voice actor looks like, it sounds like the person's doing a great job. And it's like, okay, here we go. You know, this is what we'd like. Next up, we've got Manon, who I actually am really liking so far. She's an expert judo martial artist and supermodel, which is hilarious, right? She's something like Vega, but she doesn't seem evil. She actually seems like really, you know, nice and stuff like that. But she's like hella into beauty in the pursuit of it, and she hails from France. Her moveset is a mix of ballet and then the judo grabs.
It's you wouldn't think that would be, like, you go what, and then you see it play out and you go, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's like, I don't know about that, but it looks really cool. And she like poses cool, the opponents as she's doing her command grabs. It's like they're doing a ballet number together. They're doing Black Swan, and then she's kicking your ass at the end of it, and it looks really cool and elegant.
Yeah, and she's got installs to power her up further, which a lot of characters are actually trending towards in this game. So this is actually, I did not, when I initially saw her artwork and stuff, I was not really considering playing her, but now that I've seen her in this trailer, she's right there with Chun-Li, assuming, you know, Rose doesn't happen, and one other character we're going to talk about here in a second that I'm interested in as well. But yeah, it's that Manon is quite the home run here for a brand new character. That's at least so far. We're going to see if she's any good or not, but yeah.
I haven't heard her name pronounced, but especially because she's French, I've heard Manon in my head, you know. So I'm saying Manon until I hear officially otherwise. Like, that's what's going on in my head. But yeah, one other thing, you mentioned Vega in terms of like the appreciation for beauty and appearance and whatnot. Sure, but this is definitely a character that I think it stems from Abel originally, with one being French and being like a kind of a command grab, grappler, judo type character, but still very much her own character. But you know how almost most characters after Street Fighter 2 have kind of been somewhat inspired by, clearly like used another character as a jumping off point. I would say she's like the second iteration of Abel in a sense, but also very much her own character.
Interesting. Actually, yeah, we'll get into her next. The character that reminds me most of Abel is Marisa. She looks like a Spartan warrior to me, with or without her helmet on, as her hair resembles the Spartan helmet either way. She's giving off like hardcore Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones vibes. This really large combatant for a girl, as you mentioned, Abel, but she's 6'8" and 270 pounds. So not nearly as large as Abigail, but truly a gigantic woman. And in some of her moves, she has an armored move with a counter, and then she has long reach due to her size. And that really starts to give off some Abigail vibes there with her. So maybe a cross between Abel and Abigail. That's how I'm seeing, but how is Marisa looking to you?
Marisa is Sagat, but not Sagat. There's a little bit of Sagat vibes, again, with her size, with her reach, and some of her animations, you definitely could like freeze frame and go, oh, there's a tiger knee. But even though she doesn't seem to do like a straight up tiger knee, and it might be too much to say that she's an echo of Sagat. I think there's a little peppering of some Sagat stuff in there, but she is fairly unique. She does seem to be a brawler where she just kind of wants to like, you know, pummel you as hard as possible. Man, this is the most brutal character of all four in terms of what we saw, in my opinion, of this in this trailer. Of like, her moves just hit so hard. But as far as comparing her to others, Sagat's really the only one. Off the top of my head, I didn't see much in the way of, you know, command grabs and Abel and all that. And she's Italian, right? And so that's like a different sort of part of the world. And a lot of times, characters that are similar together, maybe they come from the same parts of the world, maybe not. And I didn't see a fireball from her either, so that's another not very Sagat type thing. But as far as her size, stature, the way she attacks, some of that is Sagat-like. But really, it's like, man, she just kind of seems like a brawler that you might see come out of like a Final Fight game or something like that.
Yeah, I like that she's fighting in the Roman Colosseum. You did mention that you're not sure of one other character that comes from Italy. We'll get into that other character here in just a second. But we do have one of the other ones that they were introduced, and that is JP. And he appears to be the main bad guy this time around, apparently channeling Psycho Power, which I know everyone's rolling their eyes on it right now. But he's got all the purple, you know, stuff coming out, as you would expect. And he is the head of some international non-government organization that's very prosperous. Sure. You know, it's not Sin, it's not Shadaloo, it's not the Illuminati, it's something else here at this point in time. It's not government. Good. Yeah. So I don't know.
I bet you he puts on a big tournament.
Yep, something like that. So, but I actually really like how he fights, and he seems to be really, really, really strong. and I like the way that his moves just kind of radiate energy. And hopefully Capcom does a great job of setting him up and executing with him, as their bad guys have been very lackluster in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. I have not liked any of them. They have not put themselves on the map. I like Gil and Bison. I'm hoping JP will come out and come out with like a lot of like really hit people in the where it counts.
Yeah,
So,
and I agree with you. A lot of what we saw from him was very satisfying. It was cool, it was intriguing, and it looked painful because the way he manifests what we're all pretty sure is Psycho Power. In fact, he has a little quote in the trailer where he almost certainly references Bison, talking about
I've got the quote right here. Yeah.
Oh,
he
what does
says,
it say?
well, I'm going to try my best acting. He was obsessed, you see, for finding an appropriate vessel for this power. But he says it way better than I do. He's an actual voice actor, but yes, which seems very heavily to imply Bison.
Yeah, that's Bison. That's Bison all day, looking for a correct housing for his Psycho Power. But then we see him actually put this in action, and it's Psycho Power, as we've seen over the years, can manifest in a bajillion different ways. But it doesn't look like it manifests with Bison. Bison usually infuses himself with Psycho Power and then hurls himself, in some capacity at the opponent. JP is doing more like Psycho Power infused or sending things. Like he has what I think is actually a command grab, where he sends this giant Psycho Power ball at you, and then if it hits you, and it's a command grab because Ken is walking backwards when it makes contact with him in the trailer, and it still gets him. So I assume it's not a strike, but there's like a command grab from very far away, maybe full screen. He can send out portals of Psycho Power, and then as far as I understand it when I read here, he can either teleport to them or use them to like garner hitboxes on the screen, but he can attack you from like every angle on the screen because of these powers. He can manifest this giant pillar that comes up out of the ground, and also he can hit you with his cane, which is pretty cool in and of itself.
You can't gloss over the cane, man. Think of the reach that this is going to give this character, this big, powerful character who has a lot of intelligence and a lot of clout behind him, and now you're giving him a weapon on top of it, and a weapon he seems to fight with really well. Now, we don't know if it's going to have a giant hurt box on it, because Capcom sometimes like, okay, you have a weapon, you have a gun, but that gun has a hurt box the size of the earth on it. So good luck with that. That seems to be Capcom's kind of balancing team with like really long range stuff. So you don't know, but sometimes they make them a knot and they're like, she has no hurt boxes. Good luck. So JP's a boss character. So I think there's going to be some middle ground there between Dalsum and Manon, where he'll have some hurt boxes on it, but that cane probably won't have much of a hurt box on it, and it'll be messing some people up.
So of these four, who were you most impressed by?
Honestly, probably JP. I really like him a lot, and then Manon would be second. How about you?
I was most excited for Marisa initially, and JP. And while I'm still definitely intrigued by both of those, I have to say most improved from what I was expecting is actually Manon. Like, and I don't really think I'm necessarily going to play her, but I think her design, the way she, again, like she puts you in a command grab and then dances and black swans you before killing you. And it's like, it's a lot of that is really cool. So I was most surprised by Manon, but I think out of these, I would like to play JP, but I'd most likely end up playing Marisa. So a lot there. And then also DJ is great, but he's just never been really my type of character. So it is what it is, but yeah.
It's fun to see him back, but like his history is just abysmal. So now there are just 3 more characters to showcase left in the game. We're up to 15. There's 18 on the launch. Although I think with the 4 DLC characters, they're going to get a showcase like really close to release. I think they're going to be like, here's the characters. If you don't know who they are, you can find them on the website and stuff like that. We're trying not to spoil it too much here. We've talked about them quite a bit. But John, I want to get in now to the world tour.
Yes, some single player content.
Yeah. One of the things I will say here that I do think Street Fighter 6 looks beautiful all around. I will say that there is an exception here with the World Tour, especially Metro City and a few of the other things that their artists need to go back and really touch up some of those things. Like they look a little bit too plain compared to the rest of the game. You look at stuff like DJ stage and it looks beautiful. Great color palette, great looks on stuff. You even go and look at like some of the bonus stages they're doing, like the old Sean and bonus stage with the basketballs. That looks great too. There's a lot of good callbacks here, but some of the graphics here in World Tour mode, they need to be punched up. They're just not good enough for a AAA game, if you ask me.
Like some of the city and such looks kind of like a default background that kind of came with it, and they didn't maybe add as much compared to some of the other ones, like you say, with just a ton of details. And yeah, I hear you there. That would not be the highest thing on my personal priority list, but also if we're just saying everything that could be better should be better, then yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. But and also Oh man, I think a lot of people are going to be sad to see that Sean third strike basketball game. It's bittersweet, but I don't think that that's Sean doing the throwing, is it? It's like just some random character. So
Sean would be quite a bit older now, so yeah, it's but it is cool to have the classic bonus stage back, and they brought stuff back from the original Street Fighter, the board breaking, the bottle breaking, like all this stuff. It's a mini game now, and you can actually earn real tour currency. They have their own currency in that mode, and it's like it's such a great way to get better at the game. If you don't want to play in matches itself, and if you just want to play the mini games and get more familiar with it and stuff, it's like, oh, this is so much fun, and then you get rewarded for it on top of it.
Yeah, it'll teach you how to do like Hadouken motions, and like it'll teach you how to do the parry, and I bet you it's some timing related stuff. So they noted that too in the text from the story, that all of these things will also help you naturally get better at some of the things you're going to be doing while you're actually fighting. So that's smart. It all kind of works together. But if these can be fun and rewarding in and of themselves, then you've got a perfect little side one player thing going on. And as far as the currency goes, I believe that just adds up to like customization for your avatar, although maybe it's a little bit more, but that's what I remember reading. So
yeah, they'll probably have a different currency for different stuff. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to the Street Fighter V era where fight money could unlock all the characters and all that other. I think they might be heading towards a territory of like you have to pay for the DLC, but we'll see. You never know. Maybe there'll be some ways of unlocking that. But what I really like about World Tour mode is there's basically the final fight battles in there where you're fighting multiple enemies at once, and then you can call in one of the masters, say like Ryu, for an assist. And he only helps you for a limited amount of time. He'll jump out there, do some stuff and whatnot to help you out. But like I remember Grand Blue Fantasy Versus that had a really cool basically beat 'em up mode in there. It was a blast to play, and this is looking very similar to that, where you get to customize your moves and add it in there. So a very fun way of playing Street Fighter that really hasn't been available before in this kind of final fight style. And there's a bunch of locations in the World Tour mode, and then Capcom said there's a master in each of the 4 locations who can't wait to meet you. And one of those places is Italy, which is where Rose is from. So I was extremely happy about that. I guess Rose and Marisa are going to have a little bit of maybe a rivalry or something, because she kind of looks like a bad character, not a good one necessarily. But I'm about as super hype as can be if they add Rose into this game. Please add Rose.
I mean,
but yeah,
I don't want to burst any bubbles or smash anyone's Christmas hope. But I would imagine that it would just be Marisa would be the hero of that area.
I don't know if she could be considered a master, because the masters are like, Ryu, Chun-Li, and I believe Dee Jay.
I think the masters are just the characters that are playable themselves, that can lend their special moves to the character, to your World Tour avatar. But and maybe you're right, because maybe it has to do with the status of these characters, but I assume master just means one of the playable characters.
Makes sense. And the other locations that have masters in them are Jamaica, France, which could either be Remy or Abel, depending on who shows up there. Of course, could be the character we're just talking about there. And the Metro City literally has a huge statue of Hagar front and center, but it could be as Cody as well, because he took over as mayor. I could see someone, I personally think they're going to bring back the masters, and maybe they'll maybe someone like Goken will still teach you a fireball or an uppercut or whatever that you can use in there. I don't know exactly.
I'm trying to crush Christmas hope, and here you are trying to give me Christmas
hope.
Oh
man, it's such an opportunity to it's like an old school martial arts film where you go and train with the master, and they teach you all this cool stuff, and they don't necessarily have to even be playable just yet, but just add them in the future as DLC, kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, like, hey, you want to learn this, and it's like, well, it's so awesome, Master Rose, here you go, blah blah blah, and other stuff like that. I'm sounding like Manon now, so we're gonna move right along to the release date. It's coming out June 2nd. We talked about it in one of our previous videos here that was coming out. We figured in May, a little bit off there, very early June. John, what do you think of that? How is this striking you?
It's a little less than 6 months, which is just unfortunately hard to say, but them's the breaks. And what can you say here? After Street Fighter V, it was rushed. I'd rather a full game that's completely ready to go. That looks like what they're definitely setting up for here, so fine. And at the end of the day, it just kind of sucks that we gotta wait, but hey, we gotta wait, and this team went through COVID, and they went through who knows what other setbacks, a bunch of changing of the, Yoshinori Ono was there, and then he wasn't, and all this stuff. But we're gonna wait. We got another beta coming, maybe another one in between now and then. 6 months or 5.5 months is a long time. But yeah, it's definitely a downer to hear. Well, it's not going to be until halfway through 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good with this because of we've talked extensively about no matter what, don't rush the game. And I don't think that Street Fighter, if they rushed it and had another incomplete launch, I don't know how much the franchise could get past that hurdle again. It's pretty much like that is an ultimate non-starter right there in terms of like how disastrous that could be. So the fact that we have to wait this long is fine with me. We usually play fighting games in the summertime anyway. You know, that's such a big thing there. You know, I always remember playing, you know, fighting games in the summertime. That's kind of like the big thing. So I'm really looking forward to this. The release date's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm 1,000,000% happy that they are taking their time that they need with it. Release it when it's done. Far better to do that. As you mentioned, COVID was a doozy for everyone.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. And then also, I always take into account, well, probably early in the year because of the Capcom Pro Tour, and the way that that's always run, they'll probably just change that around, either have it start shortly thereafter, or maybe we'll just wait until next year to do another Pro Tour. But this is probably going to be about 2 months before EVO. EVO is usually in early August. Once in a while, it's in late July. So we come out at the beginning of June, and people get about 2 months of practice before EVO would pop up, presumably. And that's a pretty good situation as far as the big, major competitive showing that you're going to want to make sure that everybody's ready for. So there is that, and it makes sense. It fits into that spot. So fair enough. I'm still very hyped for this game. I'm just trying to bide my time here.